Baltimore. What up, guys, people? Blessings to you all, and welcome to this episode of Truthit. And today we're talking about Baltimore. So Freddie Gray was arrested by police. He was put in the back of the paddy wagon, and somehow between then and a couple weeks later, he was beat. His spine was severed. He died, and there has been riots in Baltimore ever since. So this brings up a couple points, especially about the rioting. Listen, I don't even really need to or really want to talk about Freddie Gray. I mean, if you feel that the police officers were just in their treatment of Freddie Gray, then just stop watching the video, because there's no. I'll pray for you. You need prayer. First, let me say this. Rioting is bad. The people who are rioting out down there now should be held accountable for all the things that they destroy. They should be brought in. They should be, punished to the fullest extent of the law. They should be held accountable. My argument has never been, are the looters and the rioters justified in looting and rioting? Never once. But my argument is that I understand why they loot and why they riot. Truthit. The reason why I understand it is any human can only take so much fear and frustration and anger until they snap. And if you notice, that's what happened down there. They done snapped. Now, a lot of people are calling it, a lot of things on the news, anchors on the news, they're calling them animals, and look at them acting like animals and thugs and stuff like that. Well, I don't think that that's the case either. And the reason why I don't think that they're acting like animals or thugs is because people don't wake up. Let me just be real with y'all. Black people don't wake up in the morning and say, I think I'm going to go loot and destroy a city today. That don't happen. If you notice, there's a chain of events, and this has always happened. There has been an injustice. The people have outcried and peacefully protested, and then when they were not being heard, then some stuff started getting destroyed. And I try my best to avoid turning this into a race thing, because let's be honest, police officers, they have shown acts of brutality against all races, white people too. So that's not the that's not really the issue here. As a matter of fact, a statistic that I heard and then I saw on the internet the other day was that 60% of all 800,000 annual domestic case abuse charges filed are against police officers. So something needs to be done about how they police, their ways of their stresses that they deal with, and all that stuff. And if you're a police officer or you are pro-police and you're saying you don't know the stuff that they deal with a lot of things. Well, if they deal with a lot of those things and they can't handle being a police officer without going overboard and beating people who are already in custody or shooting people who are running away instead of taking proper procedures and apprehending criminals, then they shouldn't be a police officer. It's that simple. Truthit. But here's where the race issue comes in. A lot of white people and a lot of black people have different worldviews when it comes to this country. It's just the reality of what it is. Let's just accept it, don't argue it, and let's move on. It's almost like the analogy of if two people were watching a car accident and then they got immediately separated and then were asked what happened in the car accident, you'd have almost two different stories of the same thing. In the same way, a lot of us look at what's going on in Baltimore and we have two totally different views on it. Some people are looking at it and saying, look at those thugs, look at those animals, look at the way they're acting down there. Other people look at it as like, man, them people are frustrated. They're living in poverty. They have no education. There's nothing for them there. And so why would they care about a city that's been so harsh and so cruel to them? I've had this issue on Facebook, and if anybody knows me, I've been posting some serious stuff on Facebook because I'm just as frustrated as those people down there. So this is how we got to look at it, though. We have to look at it in this way. As Christians, And I pray that you're a Christian if you're watching this. If not, I will pray for you. If you want to learn more about Christianity, you can hit me up on my YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, I'm here to talk at all times. So if you are a Christian, though, especially if you are a Christian who happens to not agree with some of the things that I posted, instead of waiting to argue or waiting for a chance to tell me I'm wrong, before doing that, try to understand, why am I so frustrated? If you see me post, because you know I post Truthit videos. I try to post truth seeker stuff. I try to post stuff that glorifies God. So if I'm so frustrated and I'm posting things about the injustices that are going on, instead of trying to defend or attack my points of view, let's try to understand where the other is coming from. Truthit. Because that's all I want. You know what? That's all anybody really wants, is they want to be understood. I want you guys to understand, why am I afraid if a police officer is driving behind me? I want you guys to understand why I'm afraid if a police officer walks up to me. I want you guys to understand why I am petrified of police. And we know that fear is not of God. Truthit. And this isn't only to white people either, because there's people of color, there's family members of mine who disagree with my points of view on the subject. I mean, totally. My mama disagrees with a lot of the stuff that I say. Just listen to the truth seekers. You'll hear her disagree with me vehemently. I don't even know if that's the right word or if that is a word at all. But yeah, she vehemently disagrees with me. So it's not all about who's being right or wrong. It's about what's going on and why people feel the way they do. And all we want is to be understood. And as Christians, we should be leading the charge and trying to understand other people. And that's for me too. I got to get better at that myself. Truthit.
To the Bible.
1 Thessalonians 5:14 says, "And we urge you, brothers, admonish the idle, encourage the faint-hearted, help the weak, be patient with them all." Truthit. So that's all I got for today. I just want to encourage you guys that while we're dealing with these tough times, just make sure and try to have patience for them all. As Christians, we have to set the example and raise the standards of race relations in this country. Speaking of race relations and other problems within this country, there is, I think, the one thing that needs to be mentioned. With the problems that's going on in this country, the problems that are going on all around the world, things are getting worse and worse. And every time I hear about these things, every time I see these things, I just get that feeling in my heart, and my spirit is telling me that we as a country need to return to God. That's the only way. We as a country need, instead of separating further from God, need to return to God. Truthit. That's all I got for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Click a thumbs up. If you disagree with anything I said, it's alright. Just let me know why, and we can have a discussion about it. Remember, if it doesn't agree with the Bible, whatever it is, I suggest you quit it. And as always, to God be the glory. Return to Him.